If this fight happens, the world will watch. Some for the spectacle. Some for the money. Some for the chaos. And many just to see Jake Paul get knocked out. But whatever happens, one thing is certain, Jake Paul has become the most unpredictable force boxing has seen in years. And he's willing to risk everything for one more historic moment. Michael Bisping breaks it down perfectly. For Jake Paul, this is all upside. If he loses, he still becomes bigger. If he wins, even by miracle, he becomes a legend overnight. For Joshua? It's a lose-lose. Beat Jake Paul? No credit. Lose to Jake Paul? Career-ending embarrassment. Yet reality stands, there is absolutely no way Jake Paul beats Anthony Joshua. Joshua flatlined Francis Ngannou, one of the hardest punchers in human history. Jake Paul? Much smaller. Far less experienced. Technically nowhere close. This isn't a debate. It's physician. Jake Paul already struggled against Tommy Fury. A fighter nowhere near Joshua's level. Analysts say that fight exposed Jake's weaknesses, defensive lapses. Lack of high-level ring IQ. Predictable footwork. Limited combinations. Jake Paul built himself into a respectable fighter, but Anthony Joshua is a different universe. You don't just lose a fight. You lose months of your life. Jake Paul has never experienced power like that. And if Jake truly takes this fight, many believe this could be his last one. There's also the business side, DAZN versus Netflix. Joshua is exclusively tied to DAZN. For Netflix to host this fight, mountains would need to move. Yet trusted insiders claim they're finalizing the deal. This isn't rumor anymore. It's real. Chapter 9, The Physical Mismatch. Gareth A. Davies explains the brutal reality. Joshua is 6 feet 7 inches. Jake Paul is 6 feet 2 inches. Joshua hits like a mule kicking a steel door. Yes, Joshua has been beaten before. But only by elite, world-class boxers with technical brilliance. Usyk, Ruiz, Dillian White, Daniel Dubois. Jake Paul is not on that level. Not even close. One mistake from Jake, one punch from Joshua, and it's lights out. This contradiction is what makes Jake Paul such a polarizing figure. One passionate analyst said it best, Jake does good things. He helps fighters, supports kids in Puerto Rico, and runs genuine boxing programs. But then he ruins it by saying things like, I want AJ and Canelo on the same night. That's where admiration turns into disbelief. Because Jake Paul calling out Anthony Joshua is not the same as fighting Tyron Woodley. Or a 60-year-old Mike Tyson. This is Anthony Joshua. A man who can literally end your career, or worse, with one clean shot. One analyst put it brutally, against Canelo, you'd need a new liver. Against Joshua, you might need a new life. People compared Jake's potential fight to Gervonta Davis fighting him, but Tank is too small. Anthony Joshua? He is a different monster. Joshua wouldn't treat Jake as a circus show. He'd treat it as a fight. A real fight. With real consequences. If Joshua hits Jake the way he hit Ngannou, boxing purist or not, one man understands the sport better than most, Barry Hearn. And his message is brutally honest, boxing is a money business. Purism doesn't pay the bills. A Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua fight would generate mountains of money. That's why promoters can't ignore it. From a financial standpoint, this fight sells itself, massive media attention. Global fanbase. Crossover hype. Undeniable spectacle. For Joshua? It's an easy payday. For Jake? It's the biggest stage he could dream of. Sports analyst Simon Jordan explains why Jake Paul triggers the boxing world. Jake didn't rise through amateurs. He didn't follow the system. He skipped all the steps. And that bothers purists. But money changes everything. Jordan admits one harsh truth. Jake Paul has given more fighters their biggest paydays than boxing promoters did in years. Yet Jake also disrespects legends, calls out fighters way above his league, and breaks all the traditional rules. Jake Paul is reportedly training with Tyson Fury, sharpening his craft for a potential Anthony Joshua showdown. Fury himself says Jake is closer to his long-term goals than people realize. He calls the fight 50-50, not because Jake is the better boxer, but because Jake Paul is no longer the YouTuber he once was. He's a committed fighter now. Hungry. Disciplined. Focused on proving he belongs. Jake's own words tell the story, "Don't treat me like I'm some influencer. Treat me like a future world champion." Whether people like him or not, Jake Paul works like a man possessed. Tyson Fury believes Jake has a real chance. Not because he's the better boxer, but because he has something that can't be taught, self-belief and relentless grind. In Fury's eyes, Joshua is vulnerable. A spent force, as he called it. Meanwhile, Jake is rising, bigger, bulkier, stronger, and more confident with every fight. But this isn't just about confidence. It's also about business. There's one truth that never changes in combat sports: dreams look impossible until discipline makes them real. And no matter how unreachable a goal feels, if you keep working, keep showing up, and keep pushing forward, one day, you get close enough to touch it. But reality hits harder than any punch. Because in this game, there's a harsh rule: nobody cares about your excuses. Train hard. Recently, the fight world has exploded with one rumor: Anthony Joshua may use Jake Paul as a tune-up fight. A tune-up? Not everyone agrees. Some voices even claim something unbelievable: Jake Paul knocks him out. And they say it with a straight face. To understand the madness behind this statement, you have to dive into what's been happening behind the scenes.